Boys and girls, we have a special guest for you today. It is the man, it is the myth, it is the Circa Quarterly winner and Disciplined Degen member, Mr. Mike Maders. Welcome, sir.
How you doing, guys?
He's the most famous DD member. I'm honored to say it.
I'm moving up in the ranks of the groups and my friend groups and all that fun stuff, eh? Just gotta hit a quarterly. That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's all you got to do is just be the best of the best. Really easy.
Yeah, 150 racks later, everybody's your friend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I want to kick this off, and I want this just to be super casual. Tell people a little bit about you, like name, where you live, what you do for a living, just you, the human. Aside from you, the better.
Yeah, so I'm Mike Madersbacher. My full-time job is with Tormont Cat, so I'm a machine sales rep. My part-time job, which is starting to uptick, is of course a little bit of sports betting, and yeah, so I've got a wife, Mary Ev, and I've got a young daughter, 3.5, named Isabel, and I'm out of Whitby, Ontario, which is just about 40 minutes east of Toronto.
I like it. Do you know that I lived in Toronto for 6 months?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'll tell you that story another time. This show's about you. So just tell people what is the Circa contest? Like, just give them a little brief of what it is, and then we'll get into the details.
Yeah, so the Circa Millions contest is a 5 spread pick a week contest, and it also runs a quarterly contest, as you know. So you got to submit your picks before. For me, it's on Saturdays. For some guys, it's on Fridays. I think if you're in Las Vegas, it's on Saturday by like 7 p.m. their time. So I signed up via a proxy, which allows me to get my picks in by 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in Toronto.
Which are you using Winner Circle?
I am using Winner Circle. So
shout out Winner Circle. Great service. I've used them as well. So want to give them a shout out. Kelly and the crew. I love them peeps.
Yeah.
And
so go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to, for anyone that doesn't know what a proxy is. So Mike doesn't live in Vegas, but this contest is in Vegas. You essentially are hiring a third party to run your plays to you for the window, get them in officially, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct. So yeah, Winner Circle. Obviously, I went through the progressions of. I think I even talked to Gino and Matt on the group. Was looking for recommendations, and that was one of them. And I went through the progressions of calling 4 of them, and Winner Circle really fit what I was looking for. I like their portal. I just like the way it was set up. Some other guys do it a different way. I just found it was less variance. Like at least with the portal, I have like an email. I got so just less variance of anything not to happen for the picks to not get in.
Do you have a photo of you with the big check?
No, because I'm going in January.
Oh,
so yeah, so I'm going in January. Of course, out of Toronto to Vegas is about 5 hours, and I'm in the middle of the season right now. I just didn't want to take the time to go down and then take time off work, and I'm still betting every week, and I just kind of try to keep everything the same right now.
So you're kicking off 2024 with $150,000.
Yeah. Well, 112, and then I'll get the rest back in taxes in May from the.
I was going to say, how does that work? Do you owe that in the U.S. and get it back through Toronto? How's that work?
Yeah. So talking with Circa, they're going to take 24% off the top. I'll get some paperwork, which I'll give to my accountant. Then we'll file it back in on my tax return for us.
So explain to everybody that a lot of people don't know. Explain to them how the wonderful tax laws work where you live versus the United States.
So in Canada, we're not taxed on our lotto winnings. So we have zero tax on our lotto winnings, and that includes sports betting. So
it is the best Canadian law that I know.
It is one advantage about living here in Canada, right? So
it's insane.
So because like after I hit the quarterly on the Tuesday night, my first call on Wednesday morning is to my accountant. Like, am I setting up an LLC? What do I got to do? And he hit me back and said, "Don't worry, like enjoy your lotto winnings."
So yeah, again, this is about you, Mike. But
yeah,
I was blown away by that when I lived in Canada. I would drive to what's it called, the Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, yeah.
Obviously, that's on the U.S. side, is in Buffalo, where the casinos. But long story short, I had a temporary Canadian ID, and that's when I found out about that amazing law. And I was like, that's insane. But my accountant, because I was an American just working there more than living there, he's like, yep, don't recommend that. But
Yeah.
So the number one question I want to ask is tell people how you make your 5 plays. Don't give away all the secret sauce, but just like a day in the life, a week in the life.
Well, how I go about making my 5 plays, that starts on Sunday nights. Like I've already, as you know, as a DD member, you see some stuff come across the book. So the first thing I'm doing on Sundays is I'm looking at the openers, like where are the opener lines? What is there? Because I've also made a couple plays this week where I think the lines are going to move one way or another. So I'm trying to jump some action. So yeah, as the season goes on, I'm looking on Sunday nights. Mondays I start going into, because I have a subscription with Kevin Cole, who used to be with PFF.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he runs some advanced metrics, like some advanced box scoring. Those go into on Mondays. Tuesdays now we're kind of getting the power rankings out, so I'll start doing that kind of stuff to see, like, where stuff is, like where buy low, sell high kind of things. Yep. Getting prepared for when the lines drop on Thursday. So I could I've already keyed in on 5 or 6 games, and let's just see where the contest plays out to see where I can get some value there.
I love it. And for those, again, we get a wide range of viewers. For those unfamiliar, power rankings are very different than standings. That's probably the argument I have the most with people on Twitter. They'll be like, the Niners have 3 losses. How could they be 1? And I'm like, that's the whole point. Their standings are different.
Yeah, but you gotta back out the Niners 3 losses if you're doing this at a serious level. You got to start backing out some games, because they actually really don't affect the overall power rankings. So when I do the buy low and sell high, I'm backing out that stuff. Like I'm taking into account that just because somebody's shooting so high, well, they maybe not, or maybe they're low, and you can get some value on them that way too.
And one of my favorite things. Oh, sorry, Trev, I'll let you go. You go, brother.
I'd say I'd like to hear, when he gets into it, I'd like to hear a story like how he progressed into Circa, right? Like walk us through, like, hey, I started sports betting. Kind of give us your, were you like me and Gino and Degenerates when you were 10 years old gambling already, or like how'd you progress to where you are now?
Yeah, so I'll start from the beginning. I was probably about 17 years old, a high school kid, and Gino would know this. When you're in Ontario, you got ProLine, and ProLine's like what is it? It's a governmental run thing. They give you the lines. Now you can straight bet on ProLine, but before you'd always have to pick a parlay of 3 games. So we were doing that, doing some pool stuff, and then so when I got back, I was in Calgary for about 6 years out of Toronto. And when I got back in 2014, I started getting more into a little bit of sports betting and playing in some contests. And then I'd say probably 2020 is when it really, started to click. Like 2020, I started to have, like, I had minor success. Like I finished maybe 50th out of 1,000 teams in one contest earlier on, so I knew. And then in 2020, we finished 8th. So that's when it kind of, you knew I was onto something, because I was doing some more stuff. So so after that, now it's been a progression. Like it's just and I still don't feel like I'm even close to where I want to be, but I'm kind of just continuing to build and continuing to put stuff in or take stuff out that I think will be advantageous over a contest season, because you really, to win it, you got to be like 70 or 71%, which is unreal.
It is unreal.
So
what I would ask too, probably your number one value, even though you've been a good dude since day one with DD, tell people about the refs and what you look for. Again, I want to add to it, but I want to make this about you, and I'll give my opinion at the end.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Like we talked about adding stuff. I never really looked at the refs, and then Gino and I kind of messaged back and forth. And then, I started looking more into the refs this year and tracking them and tracking like how they've been since 2022. How are they this season? What are they doing unders and overs wise? Like, yeah, and you're kind of seeing on some stuff, some weeks it's like it. I think during my quarter win, it hit like every week was hitting with these refs.
It's crazy.
So it was like I have value in, like, all my boxes are now getting checked and the refs are checking. Like, so I've got caught in the last couple of weeks doing it, but but overall, like, and you guys watch the games too. You see some stuff come out that's, a call
Humans
here.
have tendencies. Humans have tendencies.
I'm glad you both said that. That's what I would add. So I started tracking refs in high school, and I never did it thinking they're crooked. I see a lot of people tracking the refs, like making it sound like it's proof that the NFL's fixed. I think it's the tendencies piece. And my version, Mike, was I actually only use the refs for over-unders.
Okay.
I just was like, some people let the guys play. Other people, their flag is hitting the ground. It's all about them. But yeah, I wanted to ask you. So when you're looking at refs, do you look at, or I'll just ask you, what do you look at on the refs?
So right now I'm really looking at their ATS records. So do we have, and if you see on DD, I'll put it there. I'll say AT means away team, fave means fave, over under. So and then you're comparing that to where the spread's at. So if it's like a home and you kind of, it's a little bit advanced metrics there.
I love it.
You got a tendency of a ref to kind of do this stuff. Like last night, Scott Novak is a known away team dog ref, and Cincinnati goes into Jacksonville and wins outright.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's wild. I think
he's an over ref.
I think there's guys that let people play, guys that call everything, guys that hate the crowd booing at them, guys that love the crowd booing at them. I know it sounds nuts. I can't believe it because it's dropped my jaw for 10 years how much money you can make tracking refs.
Yeah, I bet you if you just bet the refs every week on their tendencies, the ones that fit all the boxes, you're probably going to be, and you can't play all the games in a contest or anything, but you're probably going to be at 70%.
And so what I do too, and Mike, I think it aligns with you, I use that to add or subtract from my unit size. So if I like the over and then Novak's the ref, it goes from 1.5 to 2 units. It goes from half unit to 1 unit. That's how I use it now.
It's pretty smart. So,
and I'm looking at that from a prop standpoint, right? When I'm looking at players, I'm looking at, okay, hey, I know he's going to throw a lot of flags. This guy calls so many PIs, right? I'm going to probably take that receiver's, under because he's going to lose some yardage because, we're going to see flag after flag.
But that's funny. It's funny you say that. Novak, I lost a same game parlay. I just dick around with same game parlays on BetMGM to get my rewards points up. So I lost Mike Evans would have caught the ball, but it was a PI, and I literally that was my only out of the 6 to lose. So it's funny. It's funny you say that.
It's madness. Now let's get into some fun stuff. How happy were you to tell your wife you make money sports gambling?
I've been making money sports gambling since 2020. So
okay.
It's not something that just came out of the blue. I've I usually use it, and I use it as a little bit of extra income to pay for some vacations and just a little stuff like that. So, but this is floored, man.
Here's the better question: where did Mama say we're going on vacation now?
We already had it booked, but it's paid now.
I like it.
We're going to Dominican Republic. We're going to Fantasia.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, with our daughter. So there's a castle there. They do a show. And so
is that Punta Cana? Is that where that place is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a nice little time for us because it's about 4-hour plane flight, so it's not too bad.
So it's pouring snow, so it's a great time to get out of Canada. So what's the best weekend you've ever had? What's your weekend, right? You can look back and be like, obviously this is, hey, I won the quarterly, but what's your weekend that you could tell the story 100 times?
I'm not that flashy. I maybe had 6 units in a weekend since I went to a bankroll system, and I've really been strategic on my bankroll because I will get into why I've lost and learn from that. So I'd say I wrote it down one time. It was probably 2021. I won all 6 bets I laid during the week. So yeah, I don't go too crazy, and I don't win too much right now, and I don't lose too much. So over my straight bets throughout the season.
What's though okay? So let's talk about this because we all know which ones they are. what's not, it has to be the most money. What's the worst beat? Like, what's one of your like bad, right? Everybody has like, oh, I know what it is, right?
This is a great story. So Gino used to sponsor a Look Who's Talking podcast, who are my high school buddies. So if you won a week with Gino in their spread contest, I think he gave us like $100 to go into bet openly. So I end up winning early in the season, and I'm now picking off bets on bet openly, and I see that Kansas City is 6.5 favorites at home, and I lay all of it, and I think it was the whole 500 US at the time. And of course they covered, or they didn't cover, they won, but they won by 6. So I my whole bankroll went out the window back then. So that's probably my biggest loss.
But you remember, we all remember those.
Oh yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean, guys, or anyone listening, what he's saying is you do sacrifice some highs, but you sacrifice a lot less lows.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Dude, I've been there. I've been there where I've owed more than I have to my name. Now, thankfully, it's been 15 years since I've been there, but I remember it like it was yesterday. On the flip side, what's a game that's gone your way? Just a game that stands out to you. It could be a Super Bowl. It could be a playoff game. Just what's something that stands out to you?
Yeah, so I'm going to say last year in the playoffs, I caught just almost like as good as I caught the vein on the quarterly. Like I just was picking, Jacksonville plus 8.5. I knew when to fade Kansas City. I knew when to hit them. People were all over Pittsburgh or Philadelphia on the Super Bowl. I put a big bet out there to get Kansas City. So when I get cooking, I was going pretty good there.
So you brought up bankroll management. Can you it's so important, right? And can you talk about how you manage your bankroll, what percent you have in, how you manage that, and what you've learned over the years from actually, because we've all done it, right? We've all been bad with our bankroll, and now you're like, I don't want to do that again. So can you walk us through how you manage it?
Yeah. So, going back to it, Gino's been, adamant about bankroll, and I've picked up on a lot of that, and really, because the two things I really do is bet on the NFL. And then after the NFL's done, I move into golf outrights. So it's just like being very strategic about, I've got an 18-week season. How much do I want my bankroll to be? How much am I willing to lose every week? And stuff like that. So, I do it by, take whatever the amount is and divide it by 100. And that's your unit size. And Gino mentions that if you go up in your bankroll, increase your unit size. And if you go down in your bankroll, decrease your unit size. So at the end of the year, you're still going to have some money around if you do it properly. You're just, you're not going to lose all your bets, and you're not going to win all your bets. So, are you playing all of your picks in Circa each week straight as are you playing those as well? No, because you got to remember, maybe 3 or 4 of those games I see value in. Yeah, Circa. That's why I'm asking for the listeners. It gets tough to pick 5, and it gets tough to pick 5 just because a lot of stuff could change from Thursday to Saturday too, and some stuff I really like early in the week I can't play because it's just like point. I don't see that. That's what I wanted him to talk about. Is that here's a great bet, and Gino, this at 12.5 this week, Seattle 12.5. Seattle was a great play, and now you're probably going to get them at 9.5 in Circa. So can you play Seattle at 9.5 in Circa? I don't know, because San Francisco is a juggernaut. Yeah. So
I'm so glad you said that, because that's one thing I wanted to tell people about too. For anyone not familiar with Circa, you can't flex your plays early. There's a closing line that everyone is on this equal playing field. With our bet openly contest, and this is not just me plugging us in always, I'm being serious. I actually let people enter it in whenever they want. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be a more accurate depiction of who is the best amongst the best. Like the fact that it's early in the week, and if you bet the wrong team, like you took Dallas, or not Dallas, who's the Niners, and you took the Niners minus 12.5, like you deserve to have minus 12.5, somewhat, versus the minus 9 at the end. I think they did it to make a more level playing field, but I'm surprised they don't just let people enter in with a live market.
Yeah, I think it's just because all the way the sports books work. Like the reason people have asked me all the time, like, why do you have to play on Saturday or Friday? and it's because Sunday is such a big betting day for the books, like live. So they let Saturday, that's when all the tickets have to get laid.
Okay.
So I think during the week when people are laying this, because it's not online, everything is like an official ticket handed in. So I think that's the way they run it. Of course, when we play the local contest, I can bet anything up till Sunday at 1:00. So I can hit the Thursday night game, put 4 other picks in, and then regroup for the Sunday slates.
Got it.
Monday slate. So it's that's a different one too, because my lines now come out locally they just came out a couple hours ago. Yeah, it's wild. There's like, I'll have weeks with between super contests, Circa, my local contests, I might have 7 or 8 games of they're not all 5, they're all 6. So
I love it.
Yeah. So it's a lot. I go through every game. Like there's one thing I've learned over my time is I've really tracked my losses. Like why am I losing? What were the reasons? And I've already found 3 things to work on over the off season that I've missed. Last year in another good San Francisco game, San Francisco went into Chicago and lost. Why did they lose? Well, the weather, it was pouring, and that Bermuda grass was slick. So it's like, now I check the weather. Like there's just so many variables that go into this now. That's not just, yeah.
Using that factor for like anyone listening right now, I'm telling people Dallas is a different team on turf. Mm-hmm. They are very fast, very aggressive, both offensive and defensively. Mm-hmm. They are a different team on turf. I'm not even saying home versus away. I'm saying on turf, in a dome versus not. So for anyone listening, these are just more variables that go into finding that one little edge. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, even the best in the world can't hit 70%, but when they do in Circa, that's a good run. Yep. They'll all admit to you that like they caught a couple breaks.
Bounces.
Yes, exactly.
It's all the bounces, Gino. We talk about it. I got a betting partner here in Toronto that we play the local contest with, and it's the bounces, man. It's like we come 3 or 2, 4 games short sometimes, and it's like that game, this game, and that game could turn us into winners. So
how big is, you talk about that was going to be one of my questions is, I'm fortunate, right? Gino and I talk, pretty much every day now. So who's your circle? Like, who's your circle that, hey, like, I'm really looking at this. What do you think? Like, we're talking it out, like, audibly.
Yeah. So I got 2 high school buddies. One's name is Hernsey and one's name is Royal, and got group chats with both of them because Hernsey and I play in Circa in the second team, and Royal and I partner on a local contest. So like I'll see something on a Wednesday and shoot it over to Royal and be like, tell me why am I not, like, I'm seeing the whole public is going this way, but I'm not seeing that. Like is this making sense? Like, a game this week would be Detroit. Like the bets are coming in hard on Detroit, but like Chicago owns Detroit in the relationship. So it's like,
there is so much value on Chicago. The fact that Detroit let the Saints offense come back into that game. Mm-hmm. This is not me defending a shitty pick. I gave out the Saints money line. The fact that Saints had the ball down 5 tells me that was the right play, hands down. Yep. I would play it 9 more times out of 10. A couple more questions just to liven it up and have some fun and let people hear some good things. Who is your Super Bowl matchup? If I made you put an NFC and an AFC team, who
you're gonna like this one this year, Gino.
All right, here we go.
San Francisco versus Baltimore in a 2009 rematch, where San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl this year.
You are on the list. You get a Christmas card, Christmas present. That is a great answer.
I've already laid it. And if you're like, if you want to look into colors in the Super Bowl and all that stuff, well, there's something there. And the minute I saw that, I'm like, future on Baltimore, future on San Francisco.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but I think that's remember that game in New Orleans? The lights went out. Yeah, it's good. Here we go again. In the big city, though, in Big Vegas this year.
This year. I already booked my house. No tickets yet. I'm not that confident, but I booked a house. So I'll be there for 10 days.
That's where I thought I obviously, there's some other futures you play just because you see value. Like
Yeah.
it hit Buffalo and on the absolute low for like, I don't know. I think it was like plus 7,500 or whatever it was.
I'm
or
not
plus
writing
3,500.
off Buffalo yet. I'm not writing off Buffalo yet.
No.
I get that they're. I feel like anyone that gets in the AFC playoffs is live.
Yeah.
Where
Still.
I hope I don't have to eat these words, but again, I don't bet this stuff crazy. I just say it. It's going to take a lot for it not to be the Niners versus someone in the NFC Championship game, and then anything can happen in one game.
Yeah. So, well, I think you're looking at, I don't know. Hopefully you'll see where the standings are, but hopefully it's you guys. I think you guys in Philly would probably be the best.
Yeah, I think
if Philly gets Goddard back and has like full steam.
That's a huge point with Goddard, and I think people are a little too low on them. I'm as diehard of a Niner fan as I know, and I mean that unbiasedly. Even when we're not good, I'm a psychopath online. We caught Philly at the right time. We caught them after some very close games, and we had added rest. It was the perfect storm, and I'm glad we had that because I'll still say this till I'm blue in the face. The Niners played 3 teams in 5 weeks off the bye. So when everyone was knocking us down, dude, that's hard. That's physically taxing on your body to play a team that's rested.
Yeah, and like Philly was coming off 2 games, 150 plays on the field. Like
they were exhausted.
Yeah,
and it makes sense. They came out strong, and that showed me what the game could be. And then they weren't ready for a marathon, and we came ready for a marathon.
Yeah, I think overall, and anyways, healthy versus healthy, you guys have a better team. Like you guys are juggernauts, man.
So
like,
do you have a do not bet person list? Like, do you have a like an idiot? Yeah, like this is mine, right? This is the one I can't get by. Like, I hate this ref. Every time I bet against this ref, he smokes me. Do you have a do not bet side?
No, the refs I try and keep my ref stuff. Like I try and align. I don't really go against those guys. The Denver Broncos have been killers for me for the last couple of years, especially early. I think I lost a survivor on them too. We won Denver 2 weeks ago. I told Royal to buy us some lotto tickets. I said we bet on Denver and hit it. Like let's go get it. But then we bet on Denver again on the road and lost last week. So Denver, Washington's becoming a team right now that I just can't get behind. The Jets, I don't know.
Well, they're a dumpster fire. So what's your flip side? What's your man? I'm like seeing right. I'm seeing the
you really
with these guys.
You really got to look at quarterbacks at this point. Quarterbacks and coaching. So if you've got good quarterback and good coaching, those are teams I'm probably going to lay in the last quarter of the season. I know there's 13 now backup quarterbacks. Unless they're on their first week out where they don't have a lot of film on them. Once they start getting some film on them, these schemes get a lot better. But that's kind of my look, and I look at a couple of things.
Saw what Cincy had to do last night, right? Cincy adjusted. Instead of using 5 to block, use 6 to block. Because Browning couldn't make the calls right with only 5 because people had film all of a sudden. Okay. And now they'll adjust again. They'll be like, okay, hey, they're going to use 6. Here's what we're going to scheme. Those kind of things.
Yeah. So just talking about scheme, this is something I've really added big time into my field this year. So I track all the scheme records. So I know which quarterbacks can play against which kind of schemes. And I'm going to try and get a little bit deeper this off season and find out this quarterback does not do well against cover 3. This quarterback so when you're looking at the matchups and that's where you're trying to find the value in the market there is going against stuff like that.
Off screen. Let's hook up. I'll get you all that data. I have access to it. Then we track it. Yeah, because I use it for props. When we're betting props, I know hey, against cover 3, against cover 4.
Yeah,
I have all that. I'll show you how to get all that data.
Wow, because last night, if you would have took Mixon over receiving yards, he dominates cover 3. Yeah. So, and that's the system that Jacksonville played in. So, yeah, it's cool stuff like that over the last 5 years. Just continuing to learn, and I'm still a sponge. I still feel like I'm a rookie in Circa. That's the biggest game. I'm not a pro at it, so lots to learn.
And I know I'm going to end being boring, but I just want to recap and then hand you back the mic, guys. Mike knows more than most people that are loud, squeaky wheels on social media. And even he is conservative with his money. If that's not a wake-up call for the people that don't know anything about refs, anything about schemes, anything about high-low, and are firing off plays, like we can only tell you so much. We can only preach so much about risking 1% of what you can lose on a game. So again, sorry to be the boring guy in the room, but conversations with guys like Mike that I value and I've known now for 2 years and it's made DD worthwhile, wake me up to like, damn, there's games I put out where I don't look at the scheme flat out. That's just the truth. I'm so confident in my other systems that I cut a corner because it's exhausting capping every day. And it's just a wake up call for me, at least, that I got to leave my units at 1. Like I got to. There's just too many variables.
There's so many, and that's the thing too, is I've taken a very strategic approach to it. I'd say like Trevor, he's very prop. Like I don't bet on a lot of props. It's just sides, and then contests like that. Those are what I've been a strength at, and those are the key things I keep on working to be. I'll bet on some props because I see lots of value in them, but that's not my strengths. So that's another little bit of advice. Like you don't have to play in these contests. You don't have to. You could do whatever. At the end of the day, you're just trying to make a little bit of extra cash, or maybe you're trying to make a living at it. So just find out what you're good at and keep hammering it in.
I love it. And most importantly, admit to yourself what you're not good at.
Correct.
People can't do that, man.
Yeah, there's certain things once you figure out, you got to avoid it and go from there. So I would be remiss. Our listeners would scream and yell at Gino and I. What is one long shot for the rest of the season that you say, hey, like these guys are sneaky. Maybe they have a shot at sneaking into the playoffs and they could get hot. Who's your dark horse that maybe has a chance?
I don't know if they're really a dark horse at this point because it got so proven, but you really got to look at Houston, man. Like they're the only down part is they're such a young team, but and Gino knows this, like the scheme comes from the Shanahan tree. Yep. Like those guys, it's tough though. They lost Hank Dell. I would say Indianapolis, but I don't think Minshew can get him there. I don't know. I just
moved them up in my power rankings.
Yeah, they like Steichen's another one that came from that San Francisco Philadelphia coaching tree is like there's some good coaches coming out of there.
For those that again don't know what he's talking about, D'Amico Ryan is learned from Robert Saleh, who was on the head coach. So like he was our second, he was our second in line. He went from Saleh to the Jets. D'Amico became our guy. Then we lost D'Amico to Houston. So yeah, there is something to be said there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of cheering for even though I think it's gonna be different, I'm kind of cheering for a Niners versus Dolphins. Because I really think you'd see the quirky little brother won't be as cute when he's up against the old sailor. And I think Shanahan would punk his ass.
That could happen too, man. That Fangio defense is cooking too. Yeah, I don't know if there's really dark horses going to come out of the limelight right now. I think you're kind of where you sit in the playoffs that's where you're going to see that there's a little bit of difference, a gap happening in the NFL right now with the top teams. So, but over one game, you never know.
Putting words in your mouth, and I hope this is helpful for anyone listening. If you want a long shot or a dark horse, please look at the AFC. That's all I would say. It's anyone's game there. Of course, that doesn't mean the Niners are locked in. It doesn't mean Philly and Dallas are locked in. It's just not worth it to go against those three when you have such a level playing field now. Kansas City just showed us yesterday or 2 days ago. They're good, but that's it. They're not great. They're just good.
They don't have what San Francisco, like you don't have that 1-2-3 punch like on like, when Philly gets healthy, you got a 1-2 punch and Goddard and Miami's got that 1-2.
If Mahomes makes one mistake, they're done. He's like walking on eggshells. He used to be able to make mistakes and overcome them.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
So,
Trev, anything else you want to ask the homie Mike before we let him go?
No, I think he gave some good stories. Interesting to see on the direction he goes. This is my favorite part of DD. This is how I started as like a member in DD because I my background, I'm a Niner, not so Niner fan like Gino, and that's how like he started showing up on like my socials because of the Niner stuff, right? Like that's how like I found Gino is because it's
I'm
just
that crazy guy in the first comments. If anyone insults the Niners, I like to think they're talking to me directly.
Perfect.
So, and actually, that's one last question. Do you have a team? Right, being from Canada, like who's your team?
I do. I have the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
I followed the Atlanta Falcons since Michael Vick. And Michael Vick was on West Virginia, and then he got drafted, and the Falcons have been since like 2004 my team.
I like it.
So yeah, that's who I follow. It's obviously a little tough right now. I'm hoping maybe like a Justin Fields or a Kirk Cousins comes out of this next year, because if they keep that core, I think they're gonna be okay.
They're good, dude. Bijan's nasty, and honestly, cheer for the Niners, dude. Shanny really got on the map at Atlanta.
Yeah,
really. So, I know people use it to insult him, but that's not fair. He made Matt Ryan an absolute stud.
They were like they got beat by the best quarterback in football, man, on one game. So
and their offense that year was top notch.
Shanny wasn't running the defense. Shanny didn't let them score all those points. That's what nobody wants to ever talk about with that game. They didn't let the Shanny had nothing to do with those points getting scored.
Was it Sarkisian was the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, it was Shark at the time.
Sarkisian, yeah.
The only thing I'll say, because I say this a lot and I say this currently, guys, Shanny doesn't run with a lead enough. He doesn't call enough run plays with a lead. So that's the only thing I'll say is he wasn't running the defense, but he also wasn't running enough run plays.
100%, but he didn't give up 30 points.
Agreed.
So hopefully, I don't know if you're an Arthur Smith fan. I am not.
No.
The gross misuse of the talent you guys have. I hope they get him replaced this year for you.
You got to remember where Smith is coming from. He's daddy's little boy that's friends with Blank, and that's just an inside deal. And hopefully he figures it out. But if not, there's so many good coaches now that you can pull out of the woodwork if he has to go. So
that's what's scary is that's almost identical in a very different light of what happened with Harbaugh leaving the Niners. He could not deal with the nephew. That is now the owner because the real owner got pushed out for gambling.
So yeah, it's funny once you get into it this deep, like you start seeing the levels of it. So
man, dude, Mike, it was a personal pleasure, man. I enjoyed this call went by too fast. Thank you for being a member of DD. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the value add. I can't explain to people how valuable members like you are. Because, like, again, this is not the Gino show, but I get tired. Like, I just cut corner. It's just, I give out 8 to 12 plays a day. It's just like, I don't have it in me. I'm not 25 anymore. So members like you, members like Trevor, it's like a wake up call that starting this group was the right thing. Because if I was just giving out plays via like an automated email or text machine, we wouldn't be having honestly half the value that group has.
Yeah. And then like there's other guys that come in the group, as you know, it's like, and they give out the system. One guy last year was perfect. He had that whole system on Google. Like that stuff is huge for us guys. Because that's just something you're taking away from me trying to dig out, right?
It's energy. That's what I think guys like you, guys like Trevor and that guy, and even Thomas with the soccer, these guys just bring energy because like we don't have that much energy. And life gets in the way too. We want to be able to cap 20 hours a day, but there's just not, life doesn't allow that.
Correct. So no, it's when football season starts for me in August 1st, January, I don't know, I'll be at Circa on January 7th, I guess. That's a full grind. Like there's no days off right now.
Can I ask for one favor before we let you go?
You got it.
Just in the comment, you get full credit, but it's in the comment, just to @DD tag and thank you. You were in the 150K check, but when you post the photo of the check, tag me in it. Tag me underneath it.
Oh, I will. I'll
live vicariously through you. That's more of an accomplishment than I've ever had. That's your check. I'm not stealing your clout. But just tag us so I can retweet it so I don't miss it.
Yeah, I'll definitely get
Put
it
in the
over
group.
to
Do
you guys.
something. Just make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, you'll get it.
Make sure
I
it
did.
doesn't go miss.
Just like when I won, I shot you a message. I was like, holy shit.
Dude, that was the best DM I'd ever gotten.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, man. Can't believe this.
I couldn't
So,
believe it.
Yeah,
I
that was
literally-
awesome. That was awesome to see. I was as excited. No, obviously, probably not. It was close. I was almost as excited as you were. Like, it was awesome.
yeah. So no, it's good. I'm really looking forward. Like, now that I have capital to move forward with some good system stuff, this is just the tip of the iceberg
Cheers, brother.
for moving forward. And thanks for having me on, guys.
No, thanks for being a member, man. Honestly.
Awesome. We enjoyed it. We'll talk to you
Have a
soon.
great day.
Talk to you.
See ya.